Fantastic. And welcome, everybody, and welcome to another Founders on Fire podcast here with myself, Rose Ross, and from the Tech Trailblazers, Chief Trailblazer and founder of the awards. And I'm delighted today to be joined by Ven Raju, who is the CEO and president of Innovation Works, who won our Investment Trailblazers Award very recently. Hello and welcome, Ven.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here, Rose, and look forward to the conversation.
Fantastic. So you're live, kind of, although this is a recording, from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, good old US of A. Tell us then a little bit about Innovation Works. You've been there for about 4 years, I believe, and come from a sort of investment background. So, tell us more about Innovation Works.
Sure. Innovation Works is here to support the broader tech ecosystem here in the state of Pennsylvania. We have accelerator programs in hardware, software, life sciences, and robotics. These accelerator programs are programs that are designed for the most formative companies, where a company may have an initial product or may have had some sort of initial market reception, but is looking to really kind of grow and develop the business. And so in these accelerator programs, we provide commercialization expertise as well as vertical domain expertise. So for instance, within the commercial expertise realm, we provide them with programming around customer discovery, customer validation, go-to-market strategy, help them develop plans around those aspects of the business. In addition to that, we provide domain support where we help them with, say, product design or product development. So, for instance, our robotics program has a fully state-of-the-art prototyping facility wherein we're able to help companies with engineers on site to help them design their prototype or further develop their product. Another example of that is our life sciences accelerator program is partnered with one of the largest integrated health systems in the country, Highmark AHN. And we bring the commercialization expertise, which I noted earlier. Highmark AHN provides the clinical and domain expertise. So every life sciences startup company that we support is matched with a clinical champion within the larger integrated health system to help them navigate the problem or area that they're attempting to provide a solution in. So if we have, for instance, a digital health platform that is in radiology, that company would be partnered with a radiologist or the radiology team at the health system to really provide that clinical and domain expertise. And so those are the programs that are designed for the most formative companies. Beyond that, we have a very active and robust seed fund. Our seed fund is an investment vehicle for companies that are just beginning to evidence product market fit, that are seeing some sort of reception from the market. If it's a life sciences company that's on a regulatory track, either line of sight to regulatory clearance or early regulatory clearance. And we do anywhere from 40 to 60 of these transactions per year, making us one of the most active investors in the US and the most active early stage investor here in the state of Pennsylvania. Further along, we have a dedicated for-profit fund, which is known as Riverfront Ventures. And these are this investment program is designed to support companies that have evidence product market fit, that are looking to scale in some capacity. And we come in on part of a larger investment syndicate to really support them in their growth needs as they're looking to scale. And so we have investment programs across the what we term as early continuum. So at the earliest stage, the most formative companies, and then our most later stage program, which is our growth stage program through Riverfront Ventures, we invest in companies that are on the cusp of really scaling.
Fantastic. So one thing that you mentioned, which I did notice when I was lurking online earlier and looking at your LinkedIn profile, is you reference the importance of line of sight now in investment strategies. And I was wondering if you could say a little bit more about that, because I'd not come across that. So what does line of sight mean in a startup sense?
Sure. So, at just to provide a little bit of background and context, the venture markets have calibrated a bit since the heights of 2021. And so overall, global inflows into venture have significantly contracted over the course of the last 3 years. And so venture investors, like other investors through downward cycles, are looking more closely at line of sight to cash flow break even or line of sight to profitability. When I say line of sight, investors want to see that there is a pathway for the company to be financially sustainable by achieving a cash flow positive state or even a profitability state. And the line of sight term that I noted for life sciences companies, if you're in the biopharma or therapeutics or med tech space, here in the United States, as in other parts of the world, there is a regulatory regimen, regulatory framework that you have to adhere to, and so seeing that a company has a plan towards regulatory clearance or has already maybe cleared some of the early regulatory hurdles, which are required to get the product to market.
And do you see that, particularly in, as you've mentioned, the life sciences? I would imagine those are pretty big hurdles to overcome.
They are. It depends on the space and the problem that you're attempting to tackle. They can not only be protracted processes, but also costly processes. So when evaluating those type of investments, we're generally looking at a longer investment horizon, and typically those companies require larger capital investment.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So you guys have been the winners of the Investment Trailblazers. Congratulations on that achievement, which is great, because I've got a little soft spot for Pittsburgh because we worked with a company for a long time in Pittsburgh. However, it's interesting. I kind of would love to see maybe you could talk about some of your success stories, some of the companies, particularly, obviously, we're a little bit more interested in the hardware and the software players in your family, so to speak. But, this has obviously been running for a little while. So you'll have had some exits, you'll have had some considered success stories of the startup land.
Sure. We've had a number of successful companies, many of which have gone on to strategic exit. And by strategic exit, I mean they were acquired by large or larger organizations. There are a number of startups that have gone on to have a public exit, which in effect means that they've either IPO'd or had some sort of transaction where a SPAC transaction or reverse SPAC transaction that allowed them to be in the public markets. We have a portfolio of over 300 companies. Wow. Ranging in, verticals across the board, from life sciences to robotics to software. Innovation Works has had very active investment programs here in Pittsburgh since 1999. And so there are a number of companies that I can certainly cite for you. But I think we would be here all day if I were.
It's good to have a long list. So I'm glad, because you don't really want to have any favourites, do you? You've got to mention everybody. So I'll forgive you for that one. Certainly for, obviously from our perspective, and, you've been CEO and president for a long time, relatively speaking, what does recognition like the Tech Trailblazers mean to the team?
I think it's validatory, right? It reaffirms what we're trying to do every day, and our team wakes up, and our team members wake up every morning thinking about ways to support our portfolio companies, and capital is just one and arguably a small part of that. We provide really hands-on support for our companies through our accelerator program, and even beyond our accelerator program, our portfolio services team continues to provide support for companies, including helping them recruit talent, helping them identify potential partners, helping them access networks that they wouldn't otherwise be able to access, including investor networks, mentor networks, etc. IW portfolio companies have gone on to raise over $3 billion of follow-on funding. And as I noted before, we're generally investing in these companies, both capital-wise and otherwise, very early. And we tend to be one of the first institutional investors for many of these companies. And to see them go on to raise subsequent financing rounds, and significant ones at that, reaffirms that what our portion, our contribution in terms of supporting that company has been accretive to that company. And so this recognition is just reaffirms what we do, and is validatory for both us as an organization as well as the region.
Wonderful. Well, I'm glad though that there is definitely a high point for you for that. It brings me on because obviously you are, an initiative from the state or from the region, and obviously that's really important. But there's an element to that I'm always very intrigued about, because obviously you work with very early stage companies. I would say that's probably where you make the most impact initially, because obviously without that support, they may never get to the subsequent successes. And obviously Pittsburgh has, some great academia as well, some great academic institutions. How important is the relationship between Innovation Works and your local, academics institutions?
Very, very important. We have tier one institutions in the way of Carnegie Mellon University and the University of Pittsburgh, as well as a number of other institutions here in the region that serve as a means for the region to attract talent, serve as a platform for the region to conduct research in burgeoning and developed areas, and in turn develop intellectual property around areas where they may be forging something innovative or distinctive. And so the university ecosystem plays a significant role in terms of fostering innovation, and as well as helping to translate that innovation into something that has the potential to be commercial. And it's been a longstanding partnership of ours to work closely with the research institutions here in the region. And if you look at the investment trends in the region, they are clearly towards clusters where the region has had assets or has made significant investments, either by way of these research institutions or by way of kind of general cluster development in those areas. So, for instance, robotics and hardware accounts for about a third of investment inflows here in the region. And as you know, on Carnegie Mellon University, with its Robotics Institute and longstanding kind of research in that realm, has contributed to developing the cluster in terms of physical assets and successes in that realm, but also attracting the requisite talent here in the region to develop and foster that innovation, as well as take that to some form of commercialization or commercial viability. University of Pittsburgh has a very strong program in the life sciences and biomedical sciences, and about a third of our investment or investment inflows into companies goes into life sciences companies. So again, the cluster effect playing out, where the university ecosystem has been integral in terms of providing the requisite assets and requisite talent here in the region to then translate some of that into commercialization opportunities.
Well, interesting. So I noticed also that you are, is it a guest lecturer at Wharton School?
That's right. That's right. I served as I did my MBA at the University of Pennsylvania Wharton School, and I've been privileged to have the opportunity to go back and guest lecture in a number of classes there.
Right. So I guess there'll be a lot of your experiences over the last 4 years that you perhaps refer to during your lectures. What do you think are the most, if you want the students to walk away with, say, 3 key takeaways from what you've learned at Innovation Works, what would they be?
Well, first and foremost, the entrepreneurial journey is a very rewarding journey, but a very difficult and protracted journey. So the typical life cycle of a early stage company here in the United States, from the time of inception to the time of a liquidity event, is now 11 years.
Mm.
And so, I think students who want to enter entrepreneurial tracks, just by virtue of the nature of the journey, the ups and downs that may be associated with that journey, have to be very committed, very passionate about what they're doing, just so they're able to kind of sustain kind of the volatility and the protected nature of that journey. So one, having a passion, being incredibly committed to what you're attempting, the problem you're attempting to solve, and ultimately the company you're looking to build. That is very much required. 2 is to have an open mind and be receptive to feedback. And so when we talk about developing product or service with our companies, we constantly talk about, don't solve for your idea, or don't solve for what you may already have in terms of a product. Solve towards what the customers need and want. And the best way to do that is to talk directly with customers or potential customers. And it is, we all, I think, whether it's an entrepreneurial activity or another activity, sometimes get attached to our own ideas and attempt to run with those ideas without being deliberate about garnering feedback throughout. And so it's very important to listen to your market, listen to your customers, and have that open mind to where you're able to pivot or iterate your product or service so that it's better attuned to the market. And that'll ultimately benefit the founder and the company in terms of reaching commercial viability or commercial success. And so that I would say is 2. And then 3, your team is very important, and building the right team and really thinking about the team you want to build through the lens of capabilities and skills you may have and capabilities and skills you may not have, and how do you round that out in the context of a team. And when I'm talking development of a team through that lens, it's at the most earliest formative stages. So you want to bring in partners or early co-founders into your team that may help round out your skill sets and may contribute to kind of the overall success of the company.
And you do get those phases. I mean, I'll come back to your points in just a little bit, because I've got a couple of sort of not like questions, more comments. But I think because of the fact that you may well be dealing with people who are effectively a spin out from academia, do you find that, they obviously have expert knowledge, they are subject matter experts in the field that they have chosen to develop things? Are you seeing that rounding out is quite often the commercial experience?
Yes, that can be the case. About, I would say, 25%, 30% of our companies are spin outs, or a better characterization is leveraging some IP from a university institutions, and generally the founder spearheading that intellectual property or that innovation and attempting to commercialize it comes from the academic realm. And in those instances, we do find marrying those capabilities and those skill sets with someone who has a commercial background can work well. It could certainly be the other way around as well, and which we see where the idea or the product or service is very much commercially attuned, but for that product to evolve, for that product to develop into something that is best positioned for the market, they may need technical talent or those with deep domain expertise to help them further develop the product or further attune the product towards the market.
And I like your second point around speaking to the customer, but not just at the beginning. Because I think we can all be, the landscape changes so quickly. What was a problem yesterday may not be a problem tomorrow.
That's right. The market dynamics change. The competitive landscape could potentially evolve. And so you have to be dynamic in how you approach your business and business planning, and be able to quickly pivot or refine what you have so that it's better attuned to the market.
Okay, perfect. And somebody else, I can't remember where, I must have been listening to a podcast or something, when people talk about passion, they're actually talking about energy. And I think certainly having witnessed and been part of startup journey, I think energy is vitally important because there's a lot to do, right?
There's a lot to do, and you need a lot of sustenance to withstand the journey. And so being really passionate about something, having channeled energy towards accomplishing something in a realm is critically important. And what as critical as early passion is, what's even more important is to have sustained passion throughout the journey, which is easier said than done. The days are long, the problems are hard, and to have that sustained energy and sustained passion, it can at times be challenging.
Oh, for sure. And you also talked about the team. How big is the team at Innovation Works?
So we are close to 50 team members. And so we have the way the organization is delineated. We have a large, what we term as entrepreneurial services team. And this team is delineated into the verticals that we support. So we have a hardware team, a robotics team, a life sciences team, a software team, and their primary purpose is to support these companies in those verticals in whatever manner they're able to support them, whether that be product development, whether that be product strategy, whether that be product marketing, etc. And we have an investment team that really shepherds our investment process. So bringing new companies into our investment funnel and then shepherding them through our internal process till the point of funding. And then we have a number of back office teams that support the kind of the overall organization.
Fantastic. So now you told us, what's happening now, where, how things have evolved. What's next? Anything exciting that you're allowed to lift the lid on?
Well, so a number of exciting things. Our robotics programming just started about a year and a half ago, and that robotics programming has three components to it. One component, which we term as Create, is a very exciting program where we bring industry experts from around the world, bring roboticists from around the world, and academics from around the world and entrepreneurs from around the world to really think about pain points in a particular vertical. So, for instance, we had a Create forum on aviation, Create forum for the defense industry, a Create forum for the agricultural industry over the course of the last year. And we will continue to have industry specific forums, which have lended themselves to, Pittsburgh being an epicenter for kind of ideation, and some of these past forums have resulted in the formation of companies that have gone on to really attempt to tackle areas where they have found pain points. Another facet of our robotics programming is our accelerator program in robotics. And we launched our first cohort in 2023, and we are now at a stage where we're three cycles in, and it's very exciting to see these robotics companies evolve and develop. And then we also have what we term as a program called Scale, which goes one step further in terms of helping these companies produce their prototype in-house, but as and when they're ready to produce their product at scale, we have an extensive manufacturing network where we connect these robotics companies with manufacturers around the state to help them develop their product at scale. And so all of our robotics programming has been launched in the last 20 plus months, and so we are very excited to see kind of the initial traction around that programming. In addition, we've recently launched a life sciences revolving fund, and we received a significant anchor commitment, anchor investment to the tune of 8 figures that has allowed us to create a fund that is designed to invest in life sciences companies here in the region for the long term. And it's a model where the fund is self-sustaining, wherein the partners that are involved are contributing the returns that are garnered from investments made on part of the fund back into the fund, so that we have essentially this long-term investment vehicle that allows us to continue to invest in life sciences companies here in the region and create high-paying life sciences jobs here in the region. And that's something that we're very excited about.
Oh, yes, I like this revolving investment fund. That sounds quite fascinating. So yeah, so hopefully that'll be growing considerably.
Yes, yes. It will be growing, and it will allow. It's a mechanism that allows kind of giving back as an entrepreneur, right? Those that are companies that leverage this revolving fund and scale their business and have a successful exit, they are in effect contributing to future companies here in the region and contributing towards their success. And so it's a very, very unique and distinctive model that we're super excited about.
And hopefully some of those that exit will come back around again.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So one of the things that I've seen for the types of organizations that we tend to deal with, which aren't just, consumer facing, is that entrepreneurs, when they exit, quite often will have another idea. But the idea now is that they've learned from all of the things that they did quite so well the first time round. So hopefully accelerate, to success a little bit faster and a little bit less painfully.
That's right. Serial entrepreneurs account for a sizable share of the companies that we invest in.
Fantastic. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to share with everybody? I think we've kind of traveled around the topic of the startup journey quite successfully.
We have. No, thank you for the opportunity here to share the Innovation Works story as well as my story, and it's been great.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to this exciting adventure that shows us, an interesting hotbed of activity in Pittsburgh, although apparently it's been snowing today, so not quite so hot. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this Founders on Fire podcast and joining us once more. If you'd like to find out more, please visit our website at thetechtrailblazers.com. or find us on LinkedIn. My name's Rose Ross. I'm the Chief Trailblazer and founder of the awards, and I'm delighted to have been joined today by Ven Raju, who is the CEO and President of Innovation Works in Pittsburgh. Thank you, Ven.